And thank you all for joining us. Ray and I, thank you for joining us. Everybody else, thank you for joining us. Phone numbers 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Very pumped to go to St. Mary's School tomorrow. Promoting our school, securing our future. Thanks to our friends at CapEd Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru. It is KIDO Talk Radio's Win Kevin Miller's Cash Contest. Today's word is airplane. Airplane. Remember, listen at 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and 3 p.m. When you hear the code words, go to our website. Repeat after me, everybody. KIDOTalkRadio.com. Type in the links. The more words you get, the more chances you have to win up to $5,000. And by the way, they don't pay me to say the call letters or the radio station's name. It's just one of those things that you just learn over the years and years of doing this. Well, the big news of the day has to be what the Attorney General has said concerning he believes that the president was spied upon. We'll take your calls on that one at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Can't wait to hear what you have to say about William Barr. If you missed it at the top of the hour, we'll get to that. Also, for those of you that care, those of you that are keeping score at home, the Idaho legislature continues to work, but there is some rumors that perhaps they might sine die by Friday or Saturday or what have you. We'll get to that as well. But first, I want to open up by congratulating a true Treasure Valley icon, and that is Channel 7's Dee Sarton, retiring after 40 years at Channel 7. And having had a chance to know Dee Sarton like most of us know her, whether we see her at the Albertsons or at the Garrity Walmart or nightly on Channel 7, truly a pleasure to work with, and her dedication to covering the big news, to anchoring us through the tough times, or perhaps her legacy among many items that people will be thankful and remember her by. Her commitment to children being adopted, Wednesday's Child on Channel 7, where she profiles kids and gives them an opportunity to be exposed to the enormous audience of Channel 7, and how many kids have found their home thanks to Dee Sarton and thanks to the folks at Channel 7. You know, our friend Doug Armstrong, who has retired from Channel 7, the longtime general manager, really has a great legacy. It continues on with Kate Morris, the news director now there. But it really tells you about the Treasure Valley, at least in the old days, where you had people like a Dee Sarton, like in my opinion, I love this man, the standard bearer Larry Gebert, all those folks, Mark Johnson at Channel 7, all those folks that do a great job. And you've had that in radio, where you've had people that have worked in radio for years and years and years, and now they're retiring. I hope that stays the same. I hope to one day be able to share that experience with you. But the Treasure Valley is changing, and we have to be on guard to make sure that we keep Idaho values, we keep Western values, we keep the values that have made this area so great. Coming up this morning, we're going to be talking about our great friend, talking to our great friend, A.J. Belukoff. We'll talk to him about the state Democratic Party. We'll talk to him about his run for governor and what he sees, the politics, the political future here in the Gem State. But first, we play the hits here. Let's go to William Barr. Do we have it? Let's go to William Barr before another congressional committee, and here we go. Boom.
I think spying did occur.
There we have it. William Barr saying spying did occur, true believers.
I'm not suggesting that those rules were violated, but I think it's important to look at that.
Now, on 107.5 FM, 580 AM, Mr. Barr, is spying a big deal?
I think spying on a political campaign is a big deal. It's a big deal.
Of course it's a big deal. And then you have the devious little libs going crazy, upset, very mad, saying the Attorney General has lost his mind. Well, let me put it to you this way. If anybody would give you the details that we've seen, and remember, we had 8 years of corruption under Barack Obama. And if journalists in this country were not silenced, if people in this country were not living in fear, there'd be a great book to write on the collusion, delusion perpetrated by former, beloved by the libs, President Barack Obama. We could go over that, but, you know, even a simpleton like myself at 580-5436, 580-KIDO can tell you, guys, gals, guys, look at this. You have Peter Strzok, FBI guy, right? He was going to get Trump. The Walmart deplorables were stinky people, like the marijuana people. Stinky, stinky, stinky. We're the Walmart crowd, all right? I love Walmart. Then all of a sudden, he's having an affair with somebody who's not his wife. By the way, that's usually what affairs are, right? He had an affair with somebody that wasn't his wife. Lisa Page. And then you have Andy McCabe, the FBI guy. Now remember, to be a lawyer, well, I've met a lot of dumb lawyers before, but you have to have a lot of dedication to work at the highest levels of law enforcement. You have to go through incredible screening. You have Andy McCabe saying, we're going to start this investigation. Hey, bro, I don't like Trump at all. I'm not down with Trump. I didn't like The Apprentice. Now I'm mimicking Strzok here. Paraphrasing here for entertainment purposes only. I just want to hang out with my girlfriend Paige. There's no there. Well, you're going to investigate anyway. I don't want to investigate. No, you're going to investigate anyway. And Paige, hey, we were told by the Department of Justice, back off the libs, back off the Dems. A politicization of the law enforcement apparatus that is designed to protect all of us. So William Barr says, look, they spied. And now you have the devious little libs led by Nancy Pelosi attacking the Attorney General. Do we have the Miller Morning Montage? Let's take a listen.
I am not saying that improper surveillance occurred. I'm saying that I am concerned about it and looking into it. That's all. Frankly, I think we need to come to grips with this issue of nationwide injunctions, because I think the way the system should do these issues should percolate up through various circuit courts and so forth up to the Supreme Court. And the idea that one district court judge can kill programs nationwide is a serious problem.
I'm asking you, in your review of the report, did you agree with Mueller that there were difficult issues of law and fact?
I'm going to give my reaction and comments, about the report after the report.
Well, it would have been, but you put your view of the report out there on this issue of obstruction of justice, right? Nobody asked you to do that.
I didn't put my view of the report.
Well, you put your assessment on, you made a conclusion on the question of obstruction of justice that was not contained in the Mueller report.
There we have it. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Donald Trump exposing what's really going on, what's really happening through William Barr. And the libs can't handle it, right? The libs are very upset. That is story number one. Number two is the whole Idaho legislature. Now, people are going to say, well, Kevin Miller, you harped, you whined, you complained, and nothing happened. Nothing happened, Kevin Miller, when it comes to repeal and replacing the grocery tax. Well, we fought, we did what we could, and we'll continue to fight for that, and we'll continue to remind you. And get this, these guys and gals have to run for re-election. You need to go up to them and say, hey, man, how come you didn't repeal the grocery tax? We have all this surplus all of a sudden. Now, it's funny. If anybody can tell me how this works in state government here, you have a surplus that turns into a deficit, that turns back into a surplus again, and yet we can't afford the repeal of the grocery tax. I want to thank a couple people. I've been doing a secret project known as the Backup Career at Night, and hopefully I'll be able to reveal this to you soon. No, I'm not leaving, not at least of my will, but what I'm saying is, it's always good to have a backup plan. Now, I know what you're saying. Kevin Miller, you've had Kevin Miller Digital, Kevin Miller Photography. You're beginning to sound like Mrs. Miller when it comes to these backup plans that don't fall through the fruition. But somebody pointed this out to me. His name is Garrett. And he said, Kevin Miller, where is the city of Meridian, or is it Boise, going to make up the lost tax revenue from the sale to the government for $150 million of the HP complex off of Chinden? Remember, because HP was paying taxes for that. Who's going to make up for that lost revenue? And not anyone, not any of the do-gooders. Hi, I'm a member of the Idaho Press Club. Not any of the do-gooders have reported this. And I go, man, Garrett, that's a good question. And then a young man came up to me and said, you know, Kevin Miller, I don't know you, I don't know your show, but my wife Kylie listens. I said, well, hopefully Kylie's listening this early. Good morning, Kylie. You have a wonderful husband. But these are issues of real people that are looking for real solutions, that are looking to better themselves, that want to live the same dream as their parents. Where are our state officials on this? Let's go down to the obligatory report from Channel 7 here on KIDO Talk Radio, where they're saying, well, the session's winding down, everybody, but we got some bills, and the governor's tweeting he's got an empty basket.
This will fund the State Board of Education. If the Senate passes it, they'll be one step closer to adjourning. It was on the first reading today and then sent over to the Finance Committee. It'll have to go through that committee process before it gets to the whole Senate.
We can't adjourn sine die until the governor has all of the bills. So House Bill 297 still has to pass the Senate and be sent to the governor for enrollment, which is going to take tomorrow and possibly Friday to get it through the process.
Now, both bodies do have to adjourn within 3 days of each other. What this means is if either the House or Senate adjourns, then the other body has to follow suit. And if they don't, then the body that did adjourn has to return after that 3 days has passed. Now,
again, very confusing. I believe the hemp bill is still percolating, and thanks to law enforcement, thanks to Kevin Miller, no hemp in the state of Idaho this year. Looks like we've dodged that bullet. The first shot in the upcoming marijuana wars. We'll get to that coming up. And House Minority Leader Matt Erpelding, who many years ago was kind of a sort of regular before he became a big star, had this to say concerning an attempt to bring back the initiative bill. Take it away, House Minority Leader, Democrat of Boise, Representative Erpelding.
It forces those who would like to run an initiative to do a fiscal note through a highly political process and an arm of the governor. So essentially, if the governor's office doesn't agree with an initiative, it's very hard for the citizens to be able to drive what the finance costs will actually be. All
right, there we have it. To me, this is a big nothing burger story. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO. It's time to wake up, start the day, everybody. Two topics. We've got William Barr saying, yes, the president was spied on. The president was a victim.
I think spying did occur.
Thank you, William Barr, the Attorney General.
So you're not suggesting, though, that spying occurred?
I don't, I guess you could, I think spying did occur. Yes, spying did occur.
Coming up, we'll hear from Nancy Pelosi. If that doesn't wake you up, I don't know what will. And this whole initiative bill, I don't know if it's too early to give the legislature a report card, but we'll do that. We've got a lot to do. Can't wait to hear what you have to say. Waking up on the right side, Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. All right, we love having you on, and hopefully this is going to make you laugh. And here we thought racism and politically correct stuff was crazy in this country. A British grocery store chain has pulled a brand of chocolate Easter ducklings from its shelves after being accused of racism. Because, when I think of chocolate bunnies and I think of chocolate ducks, I'm thinking of racism, right? Sold in sets of 3, the Waitrose trio of chocolate Easter ducklings includes a white, milk, and dark chocolate duck. The names are Fluffy, Crispy, and Ugly, respectively. It was the latter that caused the problem. One customer who questioned why the dark duck was named Ugly tweeted, quote, I overheard a woman saying, this is not right. I agree. Doesn't look good at all. Waitrose has since removed the chocolate ducklings from its store and issued this apology, quote, we are very sorry for any upset caused by the name of this product. It was absolutely not our intention to cause any offense. Think about this as you're waking up. Wow, you could say people are being hypersensitive. Why would they name the dark duck Ugly? Have you noticed other products that could be viewed as racist? Can't we all just get a life? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. The Idaho legislature still in session. You still have some folks upset over the initiative bill. The House Republicans trying to get one more in before. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but if you missed it, here's Representative Matt Erpelding.
Forces those who would like to run an initiative to do a fiscal note through a highly political process and an arm of the governor. So essentially, if the governor's office doesn't agree with an initiative, it's very hard for the citizens to be able to drive what the finance costs will actually force.
Look, quite frankly, there's a lot of initiatives, and you know what they're preparing for? The upcoming marijuana war for the soul of Idaho. My man, Hank, joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Hank.
Well, that's quite a send-off. I'll tell you what I think is going to happen if this house of cards falls. You know, is the ultimate responsibility is going to come to Obama. In other words, the question will be just like the famous question was asked by Senator Baker way back in the Watergate. What did he know and when did he know it? I mean, and the ultimate, because any investigation will show that Obama basically was the one that in the end directed all this stuff. That in the end took the media and the Democrat acolytes are going to do everything in their power to try to protect Obama on this. And the other thing that I think will happen in this is that the dramatic shift to the left in the Democratic Party, I think, would collapse like a house of cards if you end up getting prosecutions of all the key figures plus Hillary in this. I think that there's going to be a forcible soul searching within the Democratic Party, which I think is due to come.
Well, look, you've got one of his former aides expected to be charged. That's big news. Very close to the former president, and this guy Greg Craig, ex-Obama White House counsel, they expect him to be charged with foreign lobbying violations. Maybe this is the first sign of Big Moa turning in our direction.
Well, I think that's indeed happened. I think that having Barr in there as Attorney General, and one of the mysteries of this thing that just fascinates me is I thought, I was an admirer of Senator Sessions at one time. What happened to him in this? This is another mystery to me that all throughout this thing, he had, he basically just, he ran for the tall grass. I don't, he showed fear. I feel like that. I feel like that that they had something on him. Just the way that he behaved. This is another mystery in this whole thing. Why was he so weak as Attorney General? Why did he not step in to stop some of this stuff? I'm amazed.
Well, Jeff Sessions is an old school guy, and he thought there was a conflict of interest, and that's what he did. He recused himself and had faith in the career Department of Justice people, McCabe and Strzok and Page. Who would have thought there'd be such corruption and collusion?
Well, that's the charitable view. I think a lot of what he did, but he reacted out of fear. And the other thing was the law didn't require him to recuse himself. Of course, reading the law, that was the other thing that amazed me. For a person who is an attorney, he didn't show exactly a high degree of competence in this.
Always worried about that appearance of the conflict of interest. All right, Hank, let me hit you with this one. What's the real skinny behind this? And if you could, just in 60 seconds, answer this question. The governor signs Medicaid expansion. Already you've got people, we're going to sue. The governor doesn't sign 1159 that was quarterbacked through by the establishment under heavy fire because people were worried about the governor getting sued. So why not sign one and sign the other?
Well, I think that it had everything to do about the state officials being sued personally. I think that, for instance, and I explored this issue earlier with the universities, for instance, where if the universities don't comply with the law, Art Davis put in through a bill that, for instance, that the universities could not be sued. But what happens is that the governor and the legislature can be sued personally in their state capacities, for breaches like, for instance, student rights or guns. And I think that basically the reason why they did what they did was for their own personal protection. In other words, if they went to the other route, means that the governor is sued personally and the legislature sued personally.
Well,
And that's what I think triggered that.
We're going to see what happens with this initiative thing. Hank, we appreciate you, brother.
Well, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning. Let's get you to work safely and on time. 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Dave. Appreciate you, Larry. Thank you to the folks at Channel 7. Kevin Miller in the morning. Coming up next, Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, and you. Hear what they have to say. And, oh, yes, you're right. I forgot. Yeah, look, I know it's Thursday, and you're thinking, gosh, I need something to wake me up, something stimulating, something exciting, something, well, seductive, or a lot of things, but seductive in the morning?
Let me just say how very, very dismaying and disappointing that the chief law enforcement officer of our country is going off the rails yesterday and today. He is the Attorney General of the United States of America, not the Attorney General of Donald Trump.
Well, I'm sorry. There's supposed to be truth in advertising, but she does get your attention. Oh, Nancy. Hey, if we're looking at tax returns of the president, coming up next, I've got a few ideas of whose tax returns we really should be looking at. I'll share that with you coming up. You're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Maggie. Let's go out to Eben Brown, Fox News Radio, exclusively on KIDO Talk Radio here in the Treasure Valley. Eben, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So here we have a gun group filing a suit over gun controls in the city of Pittsburgh.
Well, yes, City of Pittsburgh is enacting its own laws regarding the restrictions of semi-automatic rifles, which some are calling assault weapons. And there are now groups suing, including the NRA getting involved, where they say that it is illegal for the city to do this because there is a state law saying no city can make their own restrictions on firearms. Therefore, this law should not stand. Whether or not it will be allowed to stand is yet to be seen. We don't obviously know yet how the courts would act. We tend to think the courts would strike this law down. But the mayor of Pittsburgh has said he's ready to fight the long fight on this, and it could be because he's getting some good help on terms of on the legal front by Every Town for Gun Safety, which is a big gun control group financially backed by Michael Bloomberg.
It's interesting how this will play out. Bill Peduto has gathered national attention before with the topics of gun control and was very vocal following the tragic shootings, the deaths of those folks at the synagogue in Pittsburgh. I guess this will be decided in the courts, and Eben, as you know, you're covering it, it'll receive a huge amount of attention.
Well, I think that it will, but ultimately I think it'll die in the courts. And I don't think the federal courts will get involved here because it is a state matter, and it may be something out of a federal jurisdiction. With regard to that. So we'll see, again, how it turns out. Of course, we don't like to pick court verdicts before they actually do come out, but, we'll have to see what happens.
Eben, in your reporting here from Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio, if, as we think, it will just stay in state courts and it won't go to the federal courts, and the level of difficulty for the city to do this is high, has the mayor said why he's doing this?
Well, this certainly stems from the attack last year at Eitz Chaim Synagogue in Pittsburgh, where someone using a semi-automatic rifle stormed the synagogue building and killed a number of people. And this is a matter of, in the mayor's opinion, that this needs to be done to prevent future violence. There is great question to that logic as to whether or not someone who is looking to commit a crime would abide by laws that, in terms of handing over their AR-15. And, of course, the law doesn't address the issues as to why the person wanted to commit his crime to begin with.
Eben Brown, we appreciate you. You have a great day, sir. Thank you.
You got it.
Eben Brown joining us, Fox News Radio. Remember, when you're listening to KIDO Talk Radio, you're hearing Fox News in the Treasure Valley, and we have these cool guys, whether it's Dave Ramsey or Lars Larson or Clyde or George. I feel like I know them on a first name basis, right? I mean, they tell it like it is. So anytime that Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity get a chance to go back and forth, why not share that with us when we talk about waking up on the right side here with Kevin Miller in the morning? Glenn had a chance to talk a little bit about what he's been discussing on his show. Remember, Glenn Beck 9 to 12, Dave Ramsey 12 to 3, and then Sean Hannity. And I remember Glenn talking about this on his show here on KIDO Talk Radio with Stu, that, well, the migrants aren't just coming up and, they're not coming up without help. There's somebody behind it. Let's take a listen to who Glenn Beck thinks or can prove is funding the migrants, the invasion of America. Funded by who, sir?
Than Colonel Sanders.
Oh, stop.
That's a problem.
Stop. I was just teasing. I was totally teasing. I remember you at a chalkboard many days here at the Fox News Channel. You talked a lot about socialism. Do you ever think this would happen, what's happening now here?
I remember saying, I hope this doesn't happen, but I think it's there. In fact, I laid out a new chalkboard, and I've arranged so it's free for all of your viewers. I made it for Sean Hannity viewers, and hopefully, I know one of your viewers is the president, and it's available at my YouTube channel. Just look for Glenn Beck YouTube, and it is about what's going on the border, because what is happening, I feel bad for the president because he is trying to fight something at the border, but that's not where the problem is. The problem, as I laid this out in a chalkboard, we've done about a year's worth of research on this. The problem is actually coming from Chicago. There is a group, a family that has a United Methodist Church. They're preachers. They're the ones that started the Sanctuary City. They are directly getting money from George Soros and others, and they are the ones that are, if I may quote, they are the ones that help charter the routes, arrange bus transportations, and negotiate with Mexican officials to provide protection. That's from the AP. But when you find out who these people are, let me quote another. This, I think, is from UC San Diego. They said these latest members, a zealous group of college students, community organizers, young professionals, strove to lead and build national immigrant rights movement vis-a-vis CASA. Informed by far-left politics, Marxist-Leninist thought, a communist ideology based on the theories of Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin with an international worldview, they're calling for collective mobilization. I lay this all out on a chalkboard so where you can really follow it and see what's going on.
Let me
Mr.
ask you
President,
this.
Please. You're not going to solve the problem at the border. I know that seems rational, but when you look at the evidence, we can't fight the enemy if we won't call them by name. And these are communists, American communists in Chicago that are taking loads of money from George Soros and others. They are orchestrating this. And what they're doing now is a human wave. It was a tactic used in China or by China against us in the Korean War, where they just throw wave after wave after wave of people until you just can't fight it anymore. Well, that's what's happening. And Chuck Schumer and all of the others, they know about it, and they are covering and encouraging this.
It's funny when you listen to these two go at it. Sean trying to get in, Glenn Beck making his point. So the migrants are getting travel agency help from this church in Chicago, funded by George Soros. Glenn Beck telling Sean Hannity and us here at KIDO Talk Radio, this is where the money's coming from. I don't know how you shut that down. And wave after wave making the reference to the Korean War. Think about this for a moment, though. How do you stop it? How do you stop what's going on at the southern border without building a wall? Really, how do you do that?
This is an assault on the Republic.
Certainly a border wall is going to help because we know walls work. And certainly the monies for technologies will help at the border. You know, the cartels actually use drones so they can give human traffickers, drug smugglers, the proper path. We can't take them out of the air unless we get a court warrant, and it's back in Mexico. Let me ask you this, though. Because if we get the border wall, I think that helps. I will look at your YouTube channel. But secondly, when you're proposing 70% personal marginal tax rates, 90% corporate tax rates, everything's free, no more oil, gas, combustion engine, planes, or cows, I guess I go back to my original question. I never thought it would ever be pushed this hard and adopted by so many.
So I'm working on something now, Sean, that I'll share with you in a couple of weeks. I'm not prepared to share it all now. We found a document that was written by the Soviet historians. It was never meant to be made public. It saw the light of day in the 1960s, but it was how the Soviet Union got around all of the treaties that they had signed with Winston Churchill and Franklin Roosevelt, and how they flipped countries. How did they take Czechoslovakia, which at the time was a very pro-free market kind of place, and flip it communist without any tanks? They laid out a plan. It took them 3 years to do it. What I believe we are 3 to 5 years from seeing the end of this republic. If we don't wake up, turn to God. Turn back to God, beg him for forgiveness, ask him for help, and then just name the enemy. The enemy is very clear. Please visit YouTube and look for the Glenn Beck site and watch that video.
There we have it from Glenn and Sean. And by the way, you can catch Glenn today at 9, Sean this afternoon at 3. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Soros and others revealed. By the way, our top story, the Attorney General saying, yes, spying did occur. He's going to look into it. The Democrats attacking.
I think spying did occur. I just want to make it clear, thinking back on all the different colloquies here, that I am not saying that improper surveillance occurred. I'm saying that I am concerned about it and looking into it. That's all.
There we have it. The Democrats upset, attacking William Barr, attacking the Mueller report based on no facts at all. Are you surprised? We'll get your reaction next. You're listening to Kevin Miller on your home for Hannity, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be a part of your day. You know, there are so many heroes in our world that we don't know of. I've learned a lot, and if you've been listening to this program for years, and even just moments, we continue to grow, continue to evolve as we age. You know, we have this perception of what we're going to be like when we're 30 or 40 or 50 or 60. And for some it works out. For others, we continue to evolve. And there are heroes each and every day. And by the way, as you heard from our previous conversation with our friend Tommy Ahlquist about inspiring excellence, and working with Tommy and the folks at Ball Venture Ahlquist and others, it has caused me to take a look at inspirational people. And the other day, it's Saturday, it's raining, had to come into the broadcast center because the system was down. And you know how it is when you get into a work schedule, it becomes part of your life, your lifestyle. For me, I've always idolized those people that didn't have personal relationships. They just went in like a Bill Belichick or a Nick Saban. That having been said, but I'm looking across the street as I'm driving down the road, and it's wet, pouring, and I'm watching people setting up, framing a house or framing a structure, right? And I go, man, those folks don't look at themselves as heroes, but they're working in the rain. And they don't take days off. I mean, if you're probably the most demanding job I ever had, and I lost out to a guy in his 60s because they had to get somebody, they had to fire somebody on the crew, and that was framing houses and building trusses. And I was never so happy to be fired from a job than building trusses. And that's hard physical labor. And then to have the trusses and to have the frames and to be doing it in the rain, I go, man, that's an inspiration. I bet no one has said to those folks, man, thanks. Thanks for paying your taxes and taking care of your family. And there are stories like that all the time. And people come after talk radio or this station and go, well, they're against everything. Well, we're for people that make a difference. And just a note of inspiration about someone who was doing something for someone else, a high school principal, didn't even know this individual, and died saving the life of a 14-year-old boy. The principal, Derek Nelson, died after falling into a coma during a procedure to donate bone marrow to a 14-year-old boy that he didn't know in France. ABC News covered the story. Here's David Murr with the story of unconditional love, unconditional inspiration.
Went surgery to donate bone marrow to a stranger, a little boy in need of help. That principal then suffering complications and dying. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
One final act of kindness is being remembered tonight as this New Jersey high school grieves the loss of their principal. Dr. Derek Nelson, just 44 years old, died unexpectedly over the weekend after recently donating bone marrow.
Even if you never even spoke a word with him, his impact was felt the moment you walked in as a freshman.
According to the Westfield High School newspaper, Nelson was contacted by a bone marrow program, telling him he was a match for a 14-year-old boy in France. Nelson reportedly telling the paper at the time, if it's just a little bit of pain for a little bit of time that can give someone years of joy, it's all worth it. His fiancée telling ABC News that he suffered complications after his donation, saying his last kind and generous act on this earth in giving so someone else might live is a true testament to who he was.
Here we have it. A moment of inspiration, a moment of sacrifice that you won't hear from the libs now, will you? Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dave.